we have our meeting recorded, and it's just an awesome turnout already tonight. Thank you for that. If you don't know me, I'm Deborah Crone. I'm District Director here for D9 for 2020-2021. And I want to welcome you all to our second session of Operation Reignite. If you haven't already done so, please mute yourself and stay muted unless you're called upon. Rename yourself in the chat. If you just put your name in and maybe what area you're in or division, if you don't know that. If you're in Oregon, you're in E. If you're in Idaho, you're in D. And if you're in Spokane, you're in C. Tri-Cities, you're in B. And Yakima area and Wenatchee, you're in A.
How do you do that?
Uh, Three dots up on the upper top of your picture, Louise.
Yeah.
And right click or just click on it and there's a rename function. So go ahead and mute yourself.
Okay.
Um, I will mute you. All right. And if you have questions, put them in the chat. We're going to be going through this. We have time reserved at the end for questions and answer. But if you have a really burning question, throw it into the chat. Karen Mobley, my club growth director, is helping me monitor the chat tonight and with our meeting. Tonight, we are talking about club quality. And I know we've all attended so many sessions on what makes a quality club. The tools, the manuals, the blogs, all about creating a quality club meeting are well documented. Tonight's session will be a little bit different. Tonight, I've invited Club Cascade 993 to demonstrate, if you will, how they are achieving club quality, especially how they've pivoted to the online environment. This isn't meant to say that this is the only way to do this, but this is the way this club has found success. Cascade 993 has gone from not having been distinguished in over 20 years to being president's distinguished for the last 4 years. That's huge. Another fun note about this club is that they are home to 3 generations of Toastmasters, a grandma, a mother, and a grandson. So please welcome our team tonight. Deb Sterling, Grandma Carol Guthrie, Mom Joanna Albright, and our grandson and our Toastmaster tonight, Ben Albright. I now welcome Ben to our virtual lectern. Take it away, Ben.
Thank you, Deborah. Whew, that is quite the intro. It gets me hype every time. I bet all of you didn't expect me to be Toastmaster tonight. Heck, I didn't even expect to be here Toastmaster tonight. Hello, everyone. My name is Ben Albright. I am 21 years old, and I've been a part of Toastmasters since June 2020, so about 7 months now. Throughout these 7 months, I've had the privilege of being a member of Club Cascade 993. Without them, I would not have the tools or the confidence to be here speaking with you guys in this meeting. Our goal here today is to pass on some of the knowledge we as a club have picked up since going online in Zoom format. You have to remember that this is a learning laboratory, so we are learning along with everyone else. No club is perfect. These are just tips and words of advice to help your Toastmaster club run more smoothly. Now, if everyone has an agenda, feel free to use it, take some notes, or just simply follow along as we go through numerous presentations we have planned for you tonight. Welcome, everyone, and let's get this meeting started. I welcome to the virtual lectern my mom, Joanna Albright.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ben, and virtual guests with us here in this Zoomland presence. So hello, I am Joanna Albright, and yes, Ben's mom. I am a professional firefighter by day, and by night. So mother of 3 boys, including Ben. I've been a Toastmaster and a member of Cascade 993 for just over 2 years now, and in the role of VP of Education for the last 1.5 years. I'm here to share what has worked for us in setting the stage for success. It all starts at the end of our meeting. Well, not exactly, as you will see, but that's where it starts for our membership. So check it out in this clip from this is in one of our business meetings at the end of the meeting. So if Deb, if you would cue that up, please. Coming up next week, like I said, executive committee meeting right after the regular meeting. And leading us off with the pledge, we'll have Deb Sterling, Mary running the show as Toastmaster. Let me know your theme when you know it. And Julie and Emily waking us up. I'll step in as your general evaluator. Grammarian, looks like the whole family will be your evaluating team. Mom and Ben on the timer. Speakers, Caitlin will be here giving a speech. Carrie's agreed to bump up and give speeches. Both of these newer members have bumped up weeks to give their speeches. Awesome job. Deborah Crone and Sue as evaluators. Tom Kelleher with bringing us a table topics. And again, thanks for letting me know if you're going to be gone. That helps me with the scheduling. Look at the Toastmaster and speaker roles coming up. We have that quarterly education meeting. Looks like we're gearing towards learning about diving into deeper evaluations. So will be a good time for newer members to pick up some tips. We'll also have that recorded. So you can go back and watch. I didn't mark that down, Carrie, but I did note that you're going to be missing that meeting. So great job, great meeting. And here's what's to come. I will point that out in the gumdrop.
Okay.
All right. So that's what happens at the end of the business meeting, which follows our regular meeting each week. So as the stage is set way before the meeting even ends. Are you ready to dive into this journey to a successful meeting? Well, I, as the VP of Education, prepared the agenda for every meeting a week in advance. And at the end of the current meeting, I present my prepared agenda on a slide to show our members what is coming up at the next scheduled meeting. So the key here is a week in advance. You can ooh a little. That's me playing around with PowerPoint and learning. So let's go behind the scenes to see what that looks like. Now, I'm not going to go too deep for the sake of time, but if you are the VP of your club, feel free to reach out. I mainly want you to see that there's a lot of thought that goes into planning of the agenda, and there is definitely a method to the madness. Well, I was lucky enough to follow a very talented VPE who passed this colorful Excel spreadsheet on to me. I coined it as Mary's Magic Matrix. I use it as themes. I also use a rotating Toastmaster and speaker role list that helps me fill the roles. There are other things to consider like experience levels, speech projects, who's going to be there, and so on. But the ultimate goal is to sprinkle the color throughout this magic matrix, which helps ensure that a member is not consistently filling the same role. One other thing I'd like to quickly share for all you VPEs out there, I send this out at the beginning of the Toastmaster year. It's a member interest survey. It's available through Toastmasters International and a very useful tool to help learn about your members and why they are there. This becomes helpful as you fill in the agenda as well. So a lot goes on into the agenda before it is presented to the members, or even the Toastmaster for that matter, who is ultimately in charge of how the meeting is run. But don't let that scare you away from the VPE job. It's actually pretty fun. Okay, so back to that prepared agenda a week ahead. As I am presenting my prepared agenda on a slide, I announce the members and their upcoming roles. Any important events coming up, for example, you see recognition, executive committee meeting. We also do showcases and quarterly education meetings. I also emphasize to our members to look ahead at the Toastmaster and speaker roles. That helps alleviate the holes in the upcoming meetings. And now is a good time to nudge that upcoming Toastmaster for a theme, which I highly encourage and like to have before I send out the agenda for the next day. That way, there's plenty of time for members to prepare according to the theme. So this is where communication becomes key. My goal is by the end of the day on Wednesday, that's the day after our meetings, I will send out the prepared draft agenda through our free Toast Host site, the site you see here in the slide, and that is through email. So I highly recommend this site if you're not already using it. Not only does it help attract new members, but it helps us operate more efficiently. Members can confirm their roles, submit project information to their evaluator, and for me, for the recognition slideshow, which you'll see, and that's a bonus. It also is a place for speakers to add an introduction for the Toastmaster. So once this email is sent out, the meeting is in the hands of the Toastmaster. Now, I'm happy to be involved behind the scenes throughout the week as much or as little as needed. But in fact, I do prefer to be involved since, like I mentioned earlier, I have a little insight into the status of our members. There's one other little piece of communication I'd like to mention. I also send out our prepared agenda in an app called Basecamp. We coined it as the gumdrop, since that actual icon kind of looks like a gumdrop, and not to confuse it with Basecamp in the Toastmaster International site where you find your pathway. I know, a little bit of extra explanation right there, but I didn't want to leave you wondering why we keep talking about this gumdrop. Well, this is where much of our communication outside of our regular meeting takes place. Again, key to ensuring roles are filled, exchanging information throughout the week becomes easier. So we're lucky enough to have a sponsor cover the cost of this app, but I know there are free ones out there. So it's well worth to find a single source of communication. It alleviates the frustration of, does this person prefer texting, emailing, a phone call, Snapchat, as my kids would say, or, you get the idea. Well, there you have it. Our steps at Cascade 993 to a successful club meeting. So remember, the place to begin is actually at the end. Now it is time to pass the baton. Come on up to the stage, the virtual lectern. Please help me welcome Deb Sterling to the virtual lectern.
Thank you very much, Joanna. Greetings, fellow Toastmasters. My name is Deb Sterling, and I'm the Communications Director for Entrust Community Services here in Yakima. I joined Cascade 993 about 2 years ago, and since then I helped my boss, Tom Galkey, charter a club for our business, Entrust, and that's been going on for about 8 months. And then recently I joined the Women of Influence Club. I currently serve Toastmasters in District 9 as the area director, A3, and I'm the vice president of public relations for Cascade 993. So I haven't been a Toastmaster real long, but not a total rookie either. I'm really pleased to present this segment on opening your Toastmasters meeting. When I do this, it's going to be 2 short videos, and then I'll make a few comments. This isn't going to be a real long session. Please save any questions you might have for our Q&A session, which is going to happen at the very end of this workshop. Now, before I show this screen clip, I'd like to point out that there is, in the beginning, a breach of etiquette. Notice the very rude individual helping herself to coffee after the meeting has already begun. She's using a Zoom background, which, if you notice with me, sometimes it makes things disappear. You can't see part of her body, and then sometimes you can again. That's really disconcerting and a little scary and very distracting. Then she fidgets and fidgets until she's finally settled. So use this as an example of what not to do. Actually, here's a tip. If you have to actually move and you can't avoid it, just stop your video like I just did. I'm sure all of you know how to do that. And if you don't, you can contact me later and we'll figure it out or ask during the questions. But I'm up, I'm getting my coffee, I'm fidgeting, I'm doing everything. And then when I'm ready to settle down and get back to things, there I am and I'm back on the screen. Now, here's the video clip that I promised you. Be sure to look for the etiquette breach in the beginning and all the other things. This is a pretty good example of how our meetings start.
Okay, fellow Toastmasters, it's 6 o'clock. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I don't see any guests this morning, but we welcome us to Cascade 993, our Toastmasters meeting, which is being held by way of Zoom, which is normally being held at 213 South 11th Street at the Entrust Community Services. My name is Terry Casey. I'm the Sergeant at Arms of this club. And I would like to ask everyone to please silence their cell phones. I would like to also remind you to tap your mute button until you're asked to speak. And please be reminded of the chat room if you wish to speak to anyone individually or to speak to the whole group at a time. I think we have a guest now, Christina. I don't recognize the name. Welcome, Christina. Hello. Thank you. Now I'm going to turn our meeting over to our Madam Julie Carpenter, our President of Cascade 993. Madam President.
So that's just a little example of what our meeting looks like when we start it up. Notice that the Sergeant at Arms makes sure that all the nuts and bolts are covered. And that's the really important thing. You start on time. You cover some of the basic etiquette. Turn your phones off. Mute. Acknowledge guests. Those are all important things to do. And notice also the waving. The applause is waving. And that's really important to know. Now let's see how many of you are paying attention to me. So please show me your best waving right now. Give me your applause hands, okay? All right. All right. Some of you are listening to me. I appreciate that. Very good. All right. Let me go on to the next little video clip. This is leading up into our Waker Upper. Let me just share this little clip with you.
Thank you, Mr. Sergeant at Arms, for that marvelous introduction. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and our honored guests. We are so pleased you've chosen to join us this morning. I am your president and your Toastmaster of the day today. In case you couldn't tell by the sound of my voice, the theme of today's meeting is accents and inspirations, and I am trying today to do a British accent, probably quite horribly, but nonetheless. My inspiration for the meeting today came from both my travels and from watching Prime Minister's questions on C-SPAN. Now I would like to invite everyone to introduce themselves. So as I call your name, please tell us just your name and what is your favorite accent or one of your favorite expressions not common here. All right, and it looks like we have a Marie Pelletier this morning. Marie?
Good morning, bonjour. My name, je m'appelle Marie Pelletier. I am so happy to be here with you today.
Lovely. And what is that accent, Marie?
What is the accent? It is the Francais, of course. What do you think? Are you a stupido?
Oh, pardon me, madam. Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. Now we will go into our Wake Up Uppers. This is the time during the meeting where we share something lighthearted and funny to wake us up a bit more. So without further ado, please welcome our first waker upper of the day, Sue Price Scott.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
And
So now you see what the beginning of one of our meetings looks like. In summary, just be positive, be fun, and be engaging. Because don't forget, the beginning of your meeting sets the tone for the entire meeting. Now, some people may say that we get a little goofy at Cascade 993, and it's probably true. But we do claim that Cascade 993 is the most fun place to be at 6 a.m. And I would invite you to come visit us and tell us what you think. Thank you for your time and attention. I now welcome to the virtual lectern, Deborah Crone.
Thank you, Deb Sterling. I appreciate that. For any of you that don't know, I am your district director, but I also am a member of Cascade 993. It is my home club. I joined it about 4 years ago. Been very happy to be a part of this club. I'm also in three other clubs in the district. I'm in Moses Lake Toastmasters and Audible Experience and Faculty Club. I have put in the chat box for you a general evaluator checklist. Whoops, I put in the wrong note there, so I put in actually my talking points, so ignore that. I'll get the general evaluator list to you in just a minute, as soon as I find it. Now, don't look at my talking points, because then I won't need to say anything. But anyhow, as GE, you are responsible for leading a small team to help you complete your Toastmaster meeting. And that team is comprised, in our club, of the grammarian and awe counter, which in our club, they serve as the same role, your timer and your speech evaluators. And if your club also includes a table topics evaluator, they are included in this team. As you heard earlier from Joanna, the success of this meeting begins long before the actual start of our meeting, which is at 6 a.m. As GE, you reach out to your team ahead of time to make sure they are in place and are comfortable with their role. Check in with your grammarian that they have a word of the day to go along with the theme. Check in with your timer that they know what their timing segments are that they need to be looking for. They should check with their speakers if they're not sure that it's a regular 5 to 7 minute speech or 4 to 6. If it's a different type of speech, you know, a 10 to 12 or 14 to 16, they need to work with the speaker to see where those timing constraints come in at. As the general evaluator, you are responsible for keeping track of everything that happens from the start of the meeting to the end of the meeting. Begin observing from the time the meeting starts how the meeting is flowing. Make a note at the very beginning. If one of your evaluators is not in place, then please work quickly with the Vice President of Education to ensure you have an evaluator to cover for that speaker. Keep in mind that evaluation and feedback is one of the 4 cornerstones of our Toastmaster program. The other 3 cornerstones are that experiential learn by doing, the peer-to-peer mentoring, and the fact that we work at our own pace in Toastmasters. We are our own boss about that. We only move forward when we want to move forward. As I said before, keep track of things that happen at the meeting or does not happen. Make notes of what you found very effective and make notes of what you might see for improvement. We use the general evaluator checklist that I did not get into the chat box, but I will soon before this meeting ends. It is about a 2-page document. It has a lot of things to look at. Use that as a guide. When you come time to give your report at the end of the meeting, please don't report on every line on that checkbox because frankly, the meeting isn't long enough for you to do that. Pick up a few things that you see that will guide you to giving valuable feedback to not only the Toastmaster, but to all the members of the club. This checklist is also available on our Operation Reignite page. And as I said, it's simply a guide to help you be your best as a general evaluator. And then when it's time to call for your report, call on your team first. Ask the timer to give their report. Ask the grammarian to give their report. And then I know that each club does that a little bit differently. Follow what your club's traditions are or methods, or change it up as long as your club is okay with that. But when it's time to give your specific report, be sure that you note areas of success, but also look for areas for and opportunities for improvement. But it's highly critical that you give the evaluators themselves feedback, because that is one of our 4 cornerstones of Toastmasters. Now, I want to share with you another thing our club does, and that is we use polling within the Zoom environment to take our votes. Remember back when we were meeting in person, we shuffled pieces of paper around and somebody counted them up, usually the sergeant at arms. In our club, we do polling. Now, usually it's the person that has access to the Zoom account, and that person sets the poll up ahead of time. But they can also do it on the fly for like when you have table topics. So as the table topics are being called, that person setting the poll up can be putting that person's name in the poll. But I've got a poll I'm going to launch here to see, so that you can see what it's like to have a live poll. And I know most of you have probably already experienced that. But let's just take a look at a poll here, and you can see it in person. Now the poll is launched, and I'm going to give you a minute or so to go ahead and answer that poll. Now, how our club does it is the person taking the poll privately messages the Toastmaster with the results of who the best speaker, best waker-upper, best table topics, most improved. Well, the poll, most improved doesn't go out in the poll. That's just usually in the chat box to the sergeant at arms. But this is how our club is doing this. We've done it many different ways. We put it in the chat box, and that's another way to do it. You can just send a private chat to the person taking the votes. But looks like we have 45% have heard this from an email blast, 15 on the website, 3 from Facebook, 40% from a club or district leader, 5% other. So we're doing good here. That was also my little sneaky way of figuring out where best to market our advertisements and finding out what people are doing. I'm going to give it another 10 seconds, and I'm going to close the poll. All right, I'm going to end the polling. Now, I could share the results, and I will. Like I said, if you're voting during the club on best speaker or something like that, it's usually just private. Send the winner to the Toastmaster, whatever. But in this instance, I'll share the results so you can see that most people saw this through an email blast, which was good to know. Our website is not getting the hits that I would like to see it get, but I love that 38% of us heard it from our club or district leader. Thank you for doing that. All right. Now, if you have more questions about polling and how to do that, our fabulous Dr. Mary Pellissier in our home club has created a couple videos to help you with that, and those are on our TMD9 website, one on how to do the polling behind the scenes, and then the other is on how to use the timing lights, which you will see coming up here in a minute. But that's all I have for now, and so now I'm passing the virtual lectern to Grandma Carol Guthrie. Help me welcome Carol to the virtual lectern.
Thank you, Deborah. Yes, indeed, I am the one that started it all. Carol Guthrie, mom of Joanna Albright and Amma to Ben. So I'm a retired fire, police, and 911 dispatcher. I am fortunate to be living my dream, which was to work less and play more. So I'm a budding artist, a swimmer, and a very involved grandma to 6 active boys. And Joanna and I joined the Cascade 993 Toastmasters together in September of 2018. During that time, I've rotated through the roles of VP of PR and VP of Membership. I come to you today as the VP of Membership to share a few things that I have learned along the way of how to take care of that role, and especially now that we're on Zoom. You may have noticed by now that there's a theme for our Cascade 993 Club. Planning and preparation are key elements to running a successful meeting, and membership is no different in that regard. Planning and preparation are key in assuring that your guests are welcome and that they leave with the resources and contacts to help them with any questions. So as VP of Membership, here are the ways that I prepare and carry out some of my duties. I'm going to see if I can be successful. I did plan ahead. I want to share my screen for some of these little examples to show you.
And by the way, Carol, these are all now in the chat box.
Okay, that's great. All right, so the first thing I have is invitations. And I have created for our Cascade 993 what we call our Tuesday ticket. And we used to give those out in person, and we still do sometimes, but they're not quite as useful as they were now that we're all under quarantine. But as you can see, there's a place for the meeting time, the day, and the actual date. You can fill in that for each separate meeting. And then if there's a special event, like it could be an open house, or as we call them, a showcase, or if you're just inviting a friend to help support you in a speaking role or something like that, you can put that in there. And it's very important to add your name and your contact information so that people that have any questions, or maybe they forgot how to get in, that they can contact you. And we do have on our Tuesday ticket, we do have a link to our meeting, our Zoom meeting. Since we are in the virtual world these days, we also created an electronic invitation. Now these we can post on social media and also send as a direct message, like if we're texting someone or Facebook Messenger or something like that. But it's important to engage all of your club members in the invitation process. Make sure that all the members have access to the invitations, both paper and electronic. We keep ours in our gumdrop that you heard Joanne talk about. And then remind your members during business meetings how and when to use the invites. I want to give you another example here. I can get rid of this electronic ticket. Like recently, I had a pleasant exchange with the fellow at our local Celerity Credit Union. He was just a really nice guy, great energy, and I was just really taken by him. And I said, hey, you know what? You have such great energy. You would be a really good person to come to our Toastmasters Club. And he was kind of like, what? What's Toastmasters? So I just explained real quick and told him what it was about. And then I pulled out the Tuesday ticket and handed it to him. Invited him to our next meeting. And he was really flattered by that. And I have to tell you that I had stepped way out of my comfort zone in doing that. But he was so flattered and taken aback that I noticed something positive about him that made me want him to come to our meetings. So encourage your members, step out of your comfy zone and go out there and be brave and talk to strangers. They're not all bad. You can also post and share your electronic ticket on social media pages. Like the other day I was texting a friend about something we had coming up, and I said, oh, I can help you with that, but I'm working on a Toastmaster project, so maybe after that I'll have time. And immediately she's like, oh, what's Toastmasters? And so there was my opportunity to explain to her what Toastmasters was, pop the little electronic invitation into our text messaging, and bada boom, bada bing, there she was. She had an invite to our meeting. So now that you get people to the meeting, then it's important to take care of them. So I've created some shortcuts here, and let me go over here and check out my little pigs here, keep track of that. Hopefully you can see my little happy crew on there. And the first thing I want to show you right here in the old pig snout is our version, our electronic version of the guest packet. So just like you would hand out in a meeting in person, we have everything included. And I'm not going to go through everything that we have because we all have different things in there, but it's all right there in an electronic version. I guess the only thing we opted not to put in there was the application form, and I think I got outvoted on that one, and I don't remember what the reason was. But anyway, it's available that way. I don't give that to the guests at the meetings. I wait and send that in an email. Along with that, once I notice that we have guests, again, I go to my little pig snout and I have just a regular little welcome message that I can pull up. I just copy and paste this and put it right into the chat and send it to the guest. And if I have time, like if I notice them before the meeting, which is when I like to do this, then I can change where it says guest, I can put their name and then just send it to them. And what it does is just welcome to the meeting, thanks them for coming, and then I have my contact information there and I ask them to send me their contact information in a private chat. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. If they do, I send them this little thank you that I also have as a little shortcut on my desktop. Again, copy and paste and just pop it into the chat. And I do try to do this before the meeting because I don't want to distract them from enjoying our meetings. Once I get their information, if they do send it to me in the chat book, I have again on my desktop just that one always likes to run over to the wrong screen for some reason. I don't know why it wants to do that. But it's just a Word document where I just keep track of people and their contact information and did I follow up and who brought them, etc., etc. You can keep track of whatever it is that you want. So those are really handy to have on your desktop because it makes it easy to just take care of all that stuff before the meeting even starts. And then not only can our guests enjoy the meeting, but then I can relax and enjoy the meeting. I do have a backup person in case I have a busy role, like I might be Toastmaster for the day, or I might have a speaking role that I'm nervous about. So I have a backup person that can help me with that kind of stuff. So as you can see, it's handy to have all of that. And if you want help on how to do that, I'll pick my brain and see if I can go back in my memory bank and remember how I did it, because it's been a while since I did that. Anyway, it just shows you that being prepared is really key to getting your guests, making them feel welcome, getting their information, and then being able to follow up with whatever you said. Like I tell them I will send them an email that has our guest packet. So I want to make sure that I do that. I do that as soon as the meeting is over. And again, I've got a shortcut on my desktop that has a pre-written message. I just change a couple of things, pop it in the email, pop in the electronic guest packet, and boom, I'm done. And then I mark it on my guest book that that's been sent. And then a few days later, I will follow up and make sure that they got it, answer any questions, etc., etc. So in review, prepare ahead of time so that you can quickly interact with your guests without taking away from the meeting experience. Follow through with what you promised them. Follow up and support them. And remember, have fun and share your enthusiasm with others because it's contagious. Thank you. And now I turn the virtual lectern back to my daughter. Take it away, Joe Mamo.
All right, thank you to you, Mom, and hello again to all you guests out there in Zoom land. Again, I'm Joanna Albright, VP of Education at Cascade 993. So I'm back to share how we have brought recognition into our club, because we have found the key is that recognition equals encouragement. So excite those happy endorphins. I know for me, it does feel encouraging to see progress on my goals, but it excites me even more to see it contributing to something bigger. Recognition in our club looks like this. We celebrate with awards of the day, contributions to an overall club goal, and acknowledging each individual's accomplishments. So let's take a look at a snippet from one of our business meetings. Now this happens at the end of our regular meeting, along with the last video. So here we go. And acknowledge some small wins, which are not so small in my book, but it adds up to our big goal. So small wins to get to the big goal. And that is our pathway success here at Cascade 993. This month, we had, well, overall, we're working towards our President's Distinguished goal. And just a little bit of review on this, there are 10 goals, and we have to meet 9 of the 10 to be President's Distinguished. And we have met all 10 of them, I believe, the last 4 years in a row, and we are going for that again. 6 of them educational goals, 2 of them membership goals, and a couple of training goals. Miscellaneous, throwing in dues also, and throwing in a list. So we are celebrating. By this month, we had Carol Guthrie completing her level 2 in the team collaboration path, getting a certificate. Awesome job. Happy hands to Carol. Wish we were in person to hear all the little hoots and the Mavino and the play and the gazingo, those fantastic words you guys came up with. I personally am kind of into the fist bumping, if you haven't noticed. Great little celebrating the small. Also stepping in, finishing her level 2 on the motivational strategies pathway though, is Julie Carpenter. She also gets a certificate. Awesome job, Julie, completing your level 2. Small wins did to our big overall goal. Put that, circle the big number 2, which also checks off, completes a full one of our objectives as President's Distinguished. So yes, do your little celebrations. Good job, club. And let's keep celebrating the small wins throughout the year with a little recognition time. Again, let's celebrate what we did today. Sue stepping in and actually completing her level 1 today with her leadership development pathway. That was her final speech. And one more step to that, Sue, is completing the checkbox on the TI site, so we can all acknowledge you next month at our meeting for completing your level 1. But for today, we'll put an icon there. An awesome speech. Thanks for getting us thinking a little bit about the options. I really enjoyed that speech. And coming in with a creative table topics, we'll give an icon down on the bottom for Carol on her team collaboration path. And the reason we are keeping track of all those icons on the bottom, in order to move from your level 3 to your level 4 in your pathway, you've had to have served as a table topics master and a Toastmaster. And as you can see, we do that very well in our club. We get to practice a lot of times. And I will add one to serving as your Toastmaster today. All right, thank you, Deb. So that's what it looks like at the end of our meetings. Did you notice all the excitement of our members in that sidebar? It was kind of small, but their hands were a-waving. Oopsie. That just went clear to the end. Sorry about that. Slide. All right, something that I did not share in that clip. Uh-oh, I got my wrong slideshow here. Sorry. Back up. There we go. Is that showing?
Not yet.
6. Screen share. Sorry about this. Okay, there we go. Now we are rocking. So something I did not share in that clip, at the end of our meeting, our Sergeant at Arms announces our favorites of the day. In person, we pass out paper certificates and stickers for our name tags, which our members go crazy for. And I'm not kidding, they go crazy for just these little stickers for their name tags. But in this Zoom era, winners are announced at the end of the meeting. And then I also send out an award just like this one that you're looking at in our Gumdrop app. What I did share in that little snippet was at the end of each meeting, at our business meeting, I share our progress on our club goal, which we voted on at the start of the Toastmaster year. So those in favor of striving to achieve the President's Distinguished Level Award, say aye. And it was unanimous to go for it again. So that's why I make the progress as transparent as possible for our members. On this slide, you can see that progress sorry about that. You can see that what needs to be met in order to meet those goals set forth by Toastmasters International. They're all listed 1 through 10. And then the little black check marks on the right indicate that we have met those requirements. So transparency to the membership. I also share a series of individual slides. As you can see, Carol is on her team collaboration path, and Deb is on an innovative planning path. And then I'll add an icon to their slide recognizing them for their accomplishment for the day, whether it be a speech project or having served as a Toastmaster or table topics that day. And then the first Tuesday of each month, we celebrate Pathways Success. We award certificates to members who have completed a level the previous month. In person, it's a paper certificate, but in Zoom land, it looks like this. Then I show the individual slide again to recognize the level completion, followed by the club slide, the club goal slide again to show how it contributed to the bigger picture, our club goal. So as you can see, recognition generates excitement. And just remember that excitement is contagious. And now it is time to move on to some Zoom tips from the electronically savvy generation. Please help me welcome back to the virtual lectern, my son, Ben Albright. Ben, take it away.
Thank you, Mom. Hello, everyone. And for those of you who weren't here at the beginning of the meeting, my name is Ben Albright, and welcome to my segment, Quick Zoom Tips and Tricks. However, before we jump in to the quick tips, there's one more rule that I kind of want to go over, because this rule is definitely a glue that holds everything together. Deborah mentioned it earlier in the meeting, but this rule is the timer. Without the timer, the meeting could just go on forever because you're having so much fun. That's how it is for us anyways. So right here, I'm gonna show a snippet of the timer rule, explaining the timer, explaining how the rule works.
Why was the black cat so small?
Oh, whoops. Excuse me, that is the wrong rule. Technologically savvy, you jinxed me there, Mom. Here you go.
Next up, Ben, will you please explain your duties as timer? Please help me welcome Ben Albright.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster and fellow Cascade 993 members. This morning, I am your timer. I will be timing the waker-uppers, prepared speeches, evaluations, and table topics. It is important, my job as timer, because here at Cascade 993 and Toastmasters, we like to give our speeches within an allotted time. And so I will be raising the green card, yellow card, and red card to denote specific times remaining. Those giving speeches should limit their remarks to specific speech times. Icebreakers, which we have one that length this morning. Icebreakers should be 4 to 6 minutes. At 4 minutes, I will raise the green card. At 5 minutes, I'll raise the yellow card. And at 6 minutes, I will raise the red card. Most other speeches should be 5 to 7 minutes in length. At 5 minutes, I will raise the green card. At 6 minutes, I will raise the yellow card. And at 7 minutes, I will raise the red card. Individual evaluations should be anywhere between 2 to 3 minutes. At 2 minutes, I will raise the green. At 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I will raise the yellow. And at 3 minutes, I will raise the red card. Table topic speakers should limit their remarks to no more than 2 minutes. At 1 minute, I'll raise the green to relieve you of your stressful table topics. At 1 minute, 30 seconds, I will raise the yellow card. And at 2 minutes, I will raise the red card. You will qualify for an award if you finish within the allotted time, which includes 30 seconds before and 30 seconds after the start and end of your speaking role. Thank you, Cascade 993, and thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Back to you.
Now, it would be super easy to just say, I'm the timer, I time things, let's get going. But we feel that it's important to work on your communication skills and actually say the whole role of the timer, lengthen it out a little bit. And the timer makes sure that everyone stays within the allotted times. Now in person, all the timer has to do is flick a button and the light changes. But on Zoom, you can get a little bit more creative. For example, in our club, there's a person who likes to use physical timing pieces of paper to show when the time is up. And if you're using something physical like this, it's important to know that when the speaker hits their mark, to hold up that specific color for the whole time. So then that way the speaker can know. And the more common way for the timer to use is a virtual background, which you can just change if you click on the video icon on the very bottom of your row, and you can change it from green, red, yellow, all the different timing backgrounds. And that's the more common use. Sometimes it goes a little bit on your face, but that's okay. I'm going to take this off because it's a little distracting. And then I'm going to show you a little clip of our timer actually using one of those snippets. And if you pay close attention, you can see our timer. It pops out and is easy to see within the square.
Why was the black cat so small? Well, because he only drank condensed milk. Now, why don't black cats wear play poker in the jungle? Too many cheetahs. What has more lives than a black cat? Frogs, because they croak all night. All right, I'm going to zoom in on the broomstick now. Why do witches only ride their broomsticks after dark? That's the time to go to sleep. What do you call it when a witch's black cat falls off her broom? A catastrophe. What's the best advice you can give someone to give a witch on a broom? Don't fly off the handle.
As you could tell, hopefully, that meeting was during the week of Halloween and everyone was celebrating with their decorative backgrounds. You could clearly see the timer changing the backgrounds, and a way that you can make it easier if you'd like is to click on the 3 dots in the top right corner of the timer's box and click on and pin the video. So then that video will just pop up full screen on your screen and you'll be able to see just bright red on your screen or bright yellow, whatever the color is, so you know for sure. And another thing, I don't know if you noticed, but in the top left of that video, there was our grammarian using the word of the day as their background. This is extremely helpful for our Toastmasters to know at all times throughout the meeting what the word of the day is, because everyone's trying to use it. I have another great example, another snippet, the last one I'm going to show you guys, of the word of the day being used correctly by one of our grammarians. Oh, you really did throw me for a loop there, Mom, by complimenting me on my technological skills. What the heck?
Why was the black cat?
What's going on here? Also, here we go.
Next up, Ben, will you please explain your duties as timer? Please help me welcome Ben Albright.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And
well, anyways, I'm just going to skip that video because it's not working. But the word of the day, in that video, you can clearly see the word of the day behind the presenter. And you can also, another tip that we do is changing our names on the handle to what your role is or what the word of the day is. For example, on mine here, I have Toastmaster Ben Albright because I opened the meeting this morning or this evening, and it's just an easy way to communicate and causes less confusion during the meeting, allowing it to flow smoother. Because the meetings are all about communication, which is hard during Zoom. You can't just turn to the box next to you and whisper something. It doesn't go through that way. It goes to everyone in the meeting. One way we use to communicate behind the scenes is with the direct message in the chat option. You can send a message directly to someone. So when things aren't going right, like my videos weren't playing, I could send a direct message to someone in the meeting so they could play a video for me. Or if you want to talk to your Toastmaster without interrupting, you can direct message them. Or if you want to talk to your evaluator, you can direct message them. It's also used as a community chat, and it's super easy. I could access it while I'm talking to you guys. I see all the things popping up, but I'll type up a message and send it to everyone right there, as you can see. And it takes us to our next tip, which one of the more important. Deb touched on it earlier when she was saying, don't be distracting. Now, everyone's doing a really great job framing themselves. It's really pleasing to me because I'm a photographer, and you want to be in the center third of your screen. And it looks like everyone's doing a great job with that. And you don't want to be moving around, shifting your hair, looking up at people, looking down. easier to be in the center. And then that's it on my tips and tricks that didn't go very smoothly, but we made it to the end, hobbling across the finish line. So at this time, if anyone would like to ask a question, we're taking questions, and I'll just direct it to whoever would fit best answering the question. So if anyone has questions, just raise their hand, or I guess just unmute yourself and just scream at me. I don't know. Whatever you see fit.
Ben,
Does anyone
Ben, there was a question about, I think Jackie Malinakis had a question. She wasn't sure about the pinning. Was it about pinning the timer, Jackie? Was that it? Okay. So when you are speaking and you want to make sure you see the timer, you go to that person's picture. And up in the upper right corner is the 3 dots, and when you click on it, you can pin that. And that way they'll stay on the screen so you're not sure to miss them. Does that make sense? All right.
I have a question about that also, if I may.
Yes, Catherine.
I enjoy pinning my timer. However, if I pin the timer and I do slides and screen share, I can't pin my timer. Do you have any recommendations for that? I usually just hope.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that. Anybody else that's been doing this? Ben, Vicky?
When you're sharing slides, that's tough to be able to see. There's no real way that I know as of now to be able to do that. So I would say keep looking.
This is Vicky Luba, and what I've done in that situation is just set my timer on my phone, and then I don't, it's right there so I can glance at it and check my time. But it is really disconcerting not to be able to see the timer when you're speaking. And so I use the phone as a backup.
Excellent. I also, as I was thinking, wondered about putting timing in my slides on the presenter view and maybe having it count down. I suppose there are all kinds of things we can try to figure out, but I was hoping for a quick fix in Zoom. So thank you.
If you have 2 screens, you can put your slides on one screen, share that, and then you can see in the other.
So use dual screens.
Correct.
Okay. Well, any other questions?
Out a little more. When I've tried, I've failed.
Okay. Practice. Okay, Karen, Malcolm, anything in the chat box that people had burning questions about?
Like Cynthia has a question.
Yep, Cynthia Coleman.
Yes. The question that I have is in regards to the poll. How long do you keep that poll up? Is there a time frame, or does it go away after a certain amount of time?
The poll, during a meeting, it's only kept up for a minute or so. Usually the person running the poll can see when everybody has answered it. But usually if you have, 20 or less people on the meeting, it goes pretty quick. For a bigger meeting where you're trying to get full data, you might want to keep it up 5 minutes. Everybody reads at a different rate. But usually when it's just voting on best speaker, it's a choice between 1 or 2 people, so it shouldn't take too long. So you can see if you're running the poll how long if the answers are coming in, and then you can just end it. So it's a case by case, but it shouldn't be too long. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I see Elaine Kelly has her hand raised.
For the timer issue, some people do better if they have an audio cue. So you can speak with the timer beforehand and have them unmute and give a little chime or a ding, something that other people might not notice, but you can hear in the background to know you've hit that benchmark.
That's a good point, because we do have to make sure people that are either visually or impaired or hearing impaired get all those signals and clues. So good suggestion. Thank you. Anyone else have questions?
I had a couple questions that I put in the chat, but I think they got pushed up a bit.
They probably did. Go ahead.
Yeah. Which version of Basecamp does your club use? Do you use the business, pay for the business version, or do you use the personal version?
It's the business version, and it's donated by a business. That's why.
Okay. And my other question was, how often do you have executive club meetings? And is that where you plan out your themes for the year, or is that something that the VPE does on their own?
We have executive meetings once a month following one of our meetings. Usually it's the second Tuesday of the month. The themes are set by the individual Toastmasters. So each Toastmaster is responsible for picking the theme of their meeting. Anyone else? Stan.
Yeah, I just want to remind people, if you are the host on a Zoom meeting and you have a poll, the host cannot vote on the poll. So if you have a tie situation, like in my meeting, I'm usually the host, I break the tie. But I don't really tell anybody that it was a tie. If I have to throw a vote in there, I just tell them who the winner is and let it go.
That's a good point. So if you've got 17 people at the meeting and there 2 of you are host or co-host and you only got 15 votes, the host and co-host can't vote. So you can close the poll instead of waiting for those two votes to come in. Before I forget, and thank you for Catherine, is it Kathy or Catherine? Who is it there? Kathy Hansen. The chat will be saved as a part of this recording, but if anyone wants to save the chat comments for themselves, you can do that by going down at the bottom of the chat box and hit on the 3 ellipse there, the 3 dots, and you can save that chat to your desktop. Any other questions? Stan.
One more thing here. I see some questions here about the colors, green, yellow, red. Those have to be downloaded and then saved into the virtual chat in order to use them. And if you don't know how to do that, contact me. I'd be glad to help you. Also, I have the colors and I can email them to you so that you can download them into the virtual chat.
Thank you, Stan. Yeah, and that's a point. And then again, Mary Pellissier made a video of how to do that, and that Kathy has posted that on our Operation Reignite website. She's done a little video on how to add those 3 color things in. Anytime you add a video in or a JPEG in, you have to do it individually. Even though there's red, green, and blue, you still have to add them in, or red, green, and yellow, not blue. I was back in grade school there for a minute. You have to add them in individually. But thanks, for that. And Stan's an excellent help on all things Zoom too, if you need that. Anyone else?
There's a question in the chat.
I have a question. Yeah, I was getting ready to type it in the chat, but I have a question. I know how to save the chat when I'm on my desktop. Is there a way to save the chat when I'm on my tablet or phone, because I don't see those 3 dots?
As someone who does phone and tablet, can they answer Alisand's question?
I'll contribute that I have the same problem.
Okay, so we don't have an answer for you at this time.
I have an answer, Madam
Mike.
Director.
Yes, Mike. Will I like it? Oh, he locked up. I stop it, Wayne. I don't know, but if anybody has an answer to that question, let me know and we'll post it in the next newsletter about that. Stan.
I haven't answered that, but I just posted in chat my phone number and my email address because I see some people asking me for the colors.
Okay.
Send me, either text me at that number or send me your email and I will be more than happy to send you those colors. Yep. And then, like I say, if you need help getting them loaded and using them, I'll do a Zoom meeting with you.
And also Toastmasters International has a lot of these resources for you as well. I think you go to their COVID page and then has that. I think a couple more things. One thing, when Deb Sterling was talking about the irritation of people bouncing around on Zoom and the things, I noticed watching, we've been practicing this and doing snippets for the last month. It was very painful for me to watch how awful I am on Zoom. And the more worst painful thing was to watch my hair go through the COVID transformation. So it's been an interesting time. I want to call on Ed Keeney, my district leadership chair, to have a few words. Ed.
Thank you, Madam Director. Right now, if you haven't known or didn't know, I am the district leadership chair, and we are in vital need of candidates. Right now, we have almost the automatic for District 9, the district director and the program quality director. Those two positions, we have one candidate each. On the third one, the club growth director, we have one candidate. TI mandates that you must have two candidates in order for us to have any contact with those people at all as far as interviews. If we only have one candidate, that candidate must run from the floor. And I will be notifying that candidate at the end of this month if we don't get anybody else. We have two division director positions that have been offered up. One is Division C, and we have two in Division D. A, B, and E, we have nothing. Now, folks, you're spread out all over the district. And I know it's hard to consider that right now, saying, well, what are they going to do? Everybody's virtual. Well, we've made it through almost a year now. So I'm sure, and I give kudos to the leadership team that we have now. They've made an extraordinary effort and done a great job, and I appreciate everything they've done. But there are a number of people out there that I know are qualified that could step up, if not nothing else, but just for division director. Now, I've had a couple of people send me their candidate information and self-nominations for area directors. To clarify, the area director is not the position that we handle. That's done after the division directors are voted in. So if you are considering being an area director, you can hold off on that. And then once we have the conference committee, or I'm sorry, the district conference held and the division directors are selected and elected, then you can contact those individuals in your respective districts indicating you wish to be an area director. But for now, again, my main plea is to see about getting more candidates for the club growth director. And that is kind of an implication that you will consider and maintain your position for up to 3 years. So that will carry you through the number 3, number 2, and number 1 position. I know it's a commitment, but folks, I guarantee you, I've done it. A lot of these folks here have done it. You see people with DTMs that haven't done it. Why not? Step up and say, yes, I will help the district. Thank you, Madam Director. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that. I'm going to call on my program quality director, Vicki, to make a couple of announcements. I know she's got some under her belt that she wants to share. So take it away, Vicki.
Hello, District 9. I'm so excited to see all of you here. What a wonderful presentation that Cascade 993 put on. And I just want everybody to give them a round of applause because they did a wonderful job showing us this wonderful club presentation. Tomorrow, we have how to run an online speech contest because yes, speech contests are coming up and yes, they are virtual and will be online. So if you think you have a contestant, come to the meeting tomorrow because we will be discussing how to run an online meeting. If you're here tonight and you're here tomorrow and you're a club officer who has not gotten your credit for club officer training, you'll only need one more, which is the actual role training, which will be next Saturday on February 6th. And then you will get that marked off for your club that you have been trained as a club officer. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody, and virtual contests will be a challenge, but it's something that we're ready to step up to, and it's going to be great. So come tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. The link is on our website, which is tmd9.org. You go to the district calendar, you just hover over the announcement, and then you can register for that 9 a.m. tomorrow. Hope to see all of you there. If not, send one of your club members that if you think you're going to be having a contest.
Thank you, Vicki.
Yep.
And the Powerhouse came out today. I want to give a big, huge thanks to Kathy Hansen, who's been editing and producing the Powerhouse these many months since July of last year. It's a fabulous newsletter. It comes out twice a month, the Powerhouse, and then the Powerhouse Plus. It's well worth the read. Make sure your fellow members are seeing that. I want to give a very, 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 very big thank you to my home club of Cascade 993, especially Deb Sterling, who helped craft the program for tonight and get that going. Carol Guthrie, Joanna Albright, Ben Albright, that awesome triple threat that we have in our club. Julie Carpenter, our club president, Tom Galkey, and Mary Pellissier, who did a lot of the video work for us on this. And thank you also to Karen Mobley for helping me out tonight on Zoom. Come back next Friday for the Operation Reignite Kickoff campaign launch. And that link is also on the TMD9 website and in your Powerhouse. Anything, last comments for the good of the order? All right. Thank you all so much. I'll stay on here a little bit if anybody wants to chit chat with me. And then see ya when I see ya.
Hi, Deb.
Yeah.
Question I have on the online guest list, our guest package.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have to have a first, like Microsoft Word for that to work? Or
Carol did hers, I think, in Notepad, didn't you, Carol? Carol's.
The one that I keep on my desktop where I just add information about the guests, I just did that in a Word document. But you could do it on there's a notepad on your desk.
Yeah, I got Notepad, but I don't have Microsoft Word. I was just wondering if I guess you have that guest packet that you said that you showed.
Well, it's a PDF.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's already on the international website, isn't it?
Well, there is a virtual guest packet on the TM Toastmasters website, yes. But what we did is we had a letter added in, a greeting letter from our president. So however you can cobble it together.
Okay.
Yeah. Gosh, it's great seeing you all here tonight. We had 47 at our highest point. That was pretty cool, I think. Yeah. Alice Ann, where are you from?
Chicago.
Chicago. Are you part of Women of Influence?
Yes, I am.
All right. Welcome. Welcome. All right.
And we love having her there.
All right. Excellent.
Hey, Dr. Catherine.
Yeah, that's just exciting. 2 new clubs this year. Ed.
Can anybody give me a short tutorial on how I can do a background?
You know, yeah, your computer has to be able to allow it, but I can do a short. It's hard.
I've got one-on-one. I was just wondering who might be able to do it.
Oh, I can help you with that.
Okay, I'll call you later then.
Okay.
Maybe tomorrow. Thank you.
Maybe, yeah, sometime tomorrow. But it's I can't do it with my computer. I had to buy a green screen. I have a green screen literally sitting behind me.
Yeah.
And so then I put up my background as a JPEG I created.
Okay. Well, I know I
have a
one
question.
through a different organization through my Civil Air Patrol contact.
Yeah.
I want to get Toastmasters in there. Okay, I'll check with you tomorrow. Thank you.
Alrighty, thanks.
I have a question.
Morning or afternoon?
Probably late, like between 11 and 12.
Morning?
Yeah. Well, I have a 9, I'm going to the training from 9 to 11, and then I have a meeting from 1 to 3.
Okay, last thing, just to clarify, this meeting tomorrow, does this count as the number 3, or is it next Friday that counts as the number 3 for training?
The number 3 is the actual club officer role. But didn't you already take it in the fall?
I think he's talking about Operation Reignite, which is
Operation
Friday.
Reignite next week is the 3rd part of it. But to get club officer training credit. But I think that you already attend club officer training last fall.
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah, Ed is.
You're good to go. It's people
I'm good.
that didn't
Okay.
attend that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll leave you be. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Excellent presentations all the way around. Thank you.
Thank you. Alice-Ann, anything?
Yes, I've been trained in District 103 for Vice President of Public Relations. And I wanted to know, I taught the training. I did the training and then I taught the training for the district level. Division level. So what I wanted to know was, that was in Chicago. Do I need to do it again? I came tonight because of that. And I just wanted to know that I needed to be trained again.
Vicki?
Okay. Were you trained for 2nd round in Chicago?
Yes. And I did the training in both settings.
Okay. You're good to go. I'll mark you down.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for letting me know.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Trio and Kathy, I'm so sorry. I forgot about the Powerhouse newsletter deadlines, but there is one additional last-minute club officer training being offered by Division D, a one-time event. So they come that day and they get all their hours on February 27th.
Okay, we can get that in the, I don't know if Kathy's still on. I don't think Kathy's still on, but send her that info for the plus, because that will go out on the 15th.
Okay.
Excellent. All right. Well, again, I appreciate you all coming tonight. My heart is just full with gratitude for everybody that's helped put on this event and showed up to support it. And go back now and build your clubs up, and let's keep this district rocking and rolling. See y'all.